Hello from Vermont. My name is Liz Lauffer, and I am a translator from German to English. And I'm here today with Benjamin Quaderer, who is here from Berlin. And Benjamin, you can say a couple words.
Yes, hi, my name is Benjamin Quaderer. I'm a writer living in Berlin. I write in German, so I translate from German to German. Yes, and I say hi to you all.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Benjamin and I were actually going to meet each other in person around this time in sort of mid to late April in Berlin. I was in Germany for a translation residency and then very abruptly had to come back to the US. So today is the first time Benjamin and I are meeting each other. We were then going to meet up again in New York for the Festival Neue Literatur, where Benjamin will be next year one of 6, I believe, German language authors highlighted, showcased in the festival. And I had the great pleasure of translating an excerpt from his novel, which in English we are calling The Alps Are Forever. So Benjamin, do you want to say a couple words about your book,
Yes.
What it's about?
So my book, it looks like this, is about a guy named, his name is Johann Kaiser, and Johann Kaiser is like me. He was born in the Principality of Liechtenstein. You may not have heard of it. It's a super tiny country in between Austria and Switzerland, and it's said to be like a banking place, finance place. And this Johann Kaiser is, when he starts to tell his story, he's in a witness protection program, and from there he starts to tell what brought him to the place where he is living now. And I can say so far it has to do with a bank that is owned by the Prince of Liechtenstein. It has to do with data that Johann steals from this bank, and it has to do with a huge tax affair between Germany and Liechtenstein and the whole world, more or less. Yes. So he is in this witness protection and tells his story from the very, very beginning to now.
All right. And we're kind of starting from the beginning of time, his time, with the excerpt we're reading.
Yes. So I'm going to read now. Yeah, it's not quite the beginning, but almost. And I'm going to read in German. I'm sorry. Okay. Wie kalt die Welt war, wie ungemütlich und trist. Das Licht im Kreissaal war schwach, Regentropfen schlugen gegen die Fenster. Alfred saß am Bett und hielt sich das Bein. In einem Anflug schweren Ärgers hatte er gegen den Kaffeeautomaten im Flur des Landesspitales getreten, weil er sein Geldstück verschluckt hatte, ohne eine Gegenleistung zu erbringen. Im Versuch, mich zum Lachen zu bringen, beugte er sich über mich und schnitt eine Grimasse. Vor lauter Entsetzen, dass ich mit diesem Menschen den Rest meines Lebens verbringen würde, stieß ich einen Schrei aus, der die Scheiben in den Fensterrahmen zum Schwingen brachte. Der Schrei echote sich aus dem Gebäude hinaus, umschwirrte die Spitze des Kirchturms und rang der Glocke darin 12 Schläge ab. Durch den Türschlitz drang er in das Regierungsgebäude. Das Gute an Vaduz ist seine Kompaktheit, alles liegt unmittelbar nebeneinander, fegte durch den Landtagssaal und verschaffte sich Zutritt zum Büro von Regierungschef Dr. Scherber-Battline, der mit der Stirn auf der Tischplatte schlief. Als mehrere Aktenordner aus dem Regal fielen, erwachte Dr. Battline und wusste nicht mehr, wer er war. Der Schrei johlte hinaus in die Hauptstadt, ließ die Scheiben des Juweliers Huber zu Bruch gehen und raste den Hang hoch, bis er das auf einer Felsterrasse thronende Schloss erreichte. Er drang durch die schweren Gemäuer, jaulte im Keller an den Schätzen der Fürstenfamilie vorbei, den Picassos und Rembrandts, den Cranachs und Botticellis, ehe er in einem der oberen Gemächer das träumende Fürstenpaar von und zu Liechtenstein in einem Himmelbett liegen fand. Fürst Franz Josef II. Umarmte Fürstin Gina im Schlaf, Er war das kleine Löffelchen, sie das große. Dann fegte der Schrei an den schlafenden Prinzen und Prinzessinnen vorbei ins Zimmer des ältesten Sohnes und Thronfolgers Hans Adam II. Dieser erwachte, hörte den Schrei rumoren und zog die Bettdecke bibbernd bis über den Nasenrücken hoch. Der Schrei entschwand hinaus in die Nacht, stieg bis an den höchsten Punkt des Kleinstaates. 2599 Meter lag der Gipfel des Grauspitz über dem Meer, ehe er in tosender Lautstärke explodierte. Sein Echo hörte man noch lange in den Tälern. Der Datendieb ist geboren. Ein typischer Widder, sagte die Hebamme lächelnd. Alfred stand beleidigt am Fenster. Der Himmel riss auf und gab die Sicht auf einen sichelförmigen Mond frei, der den Kreissaal in silbernes Licht tauchte. Das ist interessant, sagte die Hebamme und deutete in den Sternenhimmel. Sehen Sie nur, Herr Kaiser, im zweiten Haus, dem Haus des Stieres, ist eine große Konzentration von Planeten zu beobachten. Ah ja, sagte Alfred. Sie müssen wissen, dass das zweite Haus die Welt der konkreten Gegenstände symbolisiert. Mond, Venus, Saturn und der Kleinplanet Chiron sind in dieser Nacht anwesend. Alfred nickte lustlos. Der Mond, erklärte die Hebamme, steht für Besitz und Beständigkeit. Die Venus deutet auf Geschäftstüchtigkeit, aber auch Sinnlichkeit hin. Saturn ist ein Zeichen von Sparsamkeit und Chiron steht für Ehrgeiz und das Bedürfnis nach Sicherheit. So, sagte Alfred. Wenn wir den Sternen Glauben schenken dürfen, wird der kleine Johann viel Energie darauf verwenden, Besitz anzuhäufen. Alfred horchte auf. Johann wird ein sparsamer Mensch sein, sprach die Hebamme weiter, der durch harte Arbeit zu viel Geld kommen wird. Alfred suchte nach meiner Hand. Die Hebamme lächelte wissend. Wie recht sie mit ihrer Voraussage haben würde, sollte sie nicht miterleben. 3 Jahre nach meiner Geburt kam sie bei einem Skiunfall in den Schweizer Alpen ums Leben.
I'll now read the same section plus a little bit more. How very cold the world was, how inhospitable and bleak. The light in the delivery room was dim, and raindrops pelted the window. Alfred sat on the bed and cradled his leg. In an outburst of extreme anger, he had kicked the coffee vending machine in the hallway because it had eaten his money without offering anything in return. Trying to get me to laugh, he leaned over and made a face. Horrified that I should spend the rest of my life with this person, I let out a cry that rattled the window panes. The cry echoed its way out of the building, swirled around the tip of the church steeple, and fired off 12 strokes of the bell inside. It forced its way through a crack in the door to the seat of government. What's great about Vaduz is how compact it is, everything located within a stone's throw, and swept through the parliamentary chamber before gaining access to Dr. Gerard Batliner's office, where the Prime Minister was asleep with his forehead on his desk. At the sound of several binders tumbling from the shelves, Dr. Batliner awoke and didn't know who he was. The cry howled through the capital, shattered the windows at Huber Fine Watches and Jewelry, and sped up the hill until it reached the castle enthroned there on an outcropping. It penetrated the thick walls, roared past the royal family treasures housed in the basement, past the Picassos and Rembrandts, Cranachs and Botticellis, until it reached the upper apartments to find the princely couple of Liechtenstein dreaming in a 4-poster bed. Prince Franz Josef II embraced Princess Gina in his sleep. He was the big spoon, she the little one. The cry then whooshed past the other slumbering princes and princesses and entered the room of the eldest son and heir to the throne, Hans Adam II, who awoke, heard the roaring cry, and quavered with fear as he pulled the blankets up over his nose. The cry vanished into the night and climbed to the microstate's highest point, The summit of the Grauschwitz is 8,527 feet above sea level, before detonating with deafening volume. The sound echoed in the valleys for a long time to come. The data thief is born. Typical Aries, the midwife said with a smile. Alfred sulked by the window. The skies split open and displayed a crescent moon, which flooded the delivery room with silvery light. Interesting, the midwife said, pointing at the starry sky. Look at that, Herr Kaiser. A large concentration of planets in the second house, the house of Taurus. Ah, said Alfred. Remember that the second house symbolizes the world of concrete objects. The moon, Venus, Saturn, and the minor planet Chiron are all present tonight. Alfred nodded impassively. Moon, the midwife explained, stands for property and permanence. Venus suggests both business acumen and sensuality, while Saturn is a sign of thrift. Chiron stands for ambition and the need for security. Oh, said Alfred. To hear the stars tell it, little Johann will put a lot of energy into amassing property. Alfred's ears perked up. Johann will be a frugal person, the midwife continued, who earns a lot of money through hard work. Alfred reached for my hand. The midwife smiled knowingly. As it happened, she would never discover how right she had been. She died 3 years after my birth, in a skiing accident in the Swiss Alps. The room I occupied those first few years was painted pale blue, with gentle shimmers of pink, still visible in spots. In the middle of the room was a bed enclosed in wooden slats that seemed to me to reach all the way to the ceiling. I would lie there and watch the shadows of tree branches move across the drawn curtains. It was like in Plato's cave. While the real world blossomed in every color outside my room, I, the human trapped in a crib, was left with no choice but to settle for simulacra, for colorless, sad shadows. It was light during the day and grew dark at night. Although I'd become an expert in darknesses in recent months, this one was different from those that came before. This darkness had eyes. This darkness pierced. I turned toward the movement, and as I did, the darkness assumed the shape of a body. Hands. This darkness had hundreds of hands. It would prick me on one side while jabbing a finger in my ear on the other. It bopped me on the nose and yanked my toe, and when I opened my mouth to ask what was going on, it hissed, "Quit crying, you rotten little traitor," and covered my mouth with another one of its hands. Mama appeared at first light. She was holding 2 braids attached to 2 identical faces. Both had bushy eyebrows and full lips, as well as freckles covering cheeks damp with tears. The missing incisor in the left one's mouth was all that distinguished it from the one on the right. "This is Louise and this is Lotte, Mama said. Your sisters." She had to pull my sister's hair harder till one of them finally said, "Hello." The other one added, "Nice to meet you." "My name is Johann," I tried to respond, but instead of speaking, I started to cry. "You must be hungry," Mama said, unbuttoning her blouse. As I suckled at her nipple to be polite, I spotted the girls standing in the doorway. The one missing a tooth slowly drew her outstretched index finger across her throat. Well, we have 3 seconds left for discussion. I guess I'll just ask one question then, which is something we discussed while I was translating, and I asked you about this scene in the delivery room with the conversation between the midwife and Alfred, Johann's father. I had a question about the horoscope and the role this played, and it was kind of funny because it turned out that both of us had done an online birth chart for this character, because you provide his exact birthday with the exact time, which is evidently very important when creating a birth chart. And so briefly, in the little time we have left, I just wonder sort of what role this plays in the story, how you decided to incorporate this in this character.
So the guy who is telling the story is like, he's a grown-up man, and he's like reimagining how it was to be born. So I thought it was kind of funny when you have like a person who knows what happened, is giving his own life a lot more meaning than it actually had. So this was more or less my idea to become meaningful or so.
Yeah, like his destiny.
Yes, exactly.
His fate, his greatness is and the auspicious beginnings, or however one might read that horoscope.
Yes.
That's great. All right, well, I guess we are out of time now. We've gone over a little bit, but thank you so much to the organizers of this online festival for including us, and we hope to see everyone in person in 2021 for the Festival Neue Literatur in New York. And Benjamin, I look forward to meeting you in person too when this is all past us.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.